Welcome back to CI Living, where it's the Denim Jacket Twin Show.
Sure is. We love a denim jacket.
And someone who is left out is meteorologist Jacob Dickey. So to make up for it, we're going to have some fun, okay?
Yeah,
we're going to do a little experiment here.
Yeah, I forgot mine.
Well,
I'm sure it'd look nice and cute and cropped.
It probably followed about here because it's my wife's. I wouldn't look very good at it.
can we
good TV?
Let Grace and I be the judge of that?
Yes, you should bring it next time.
Maybe try it off.
We'll schedule it.
First.
Okay, what are we talking about today?
Well, it's Ask Your Meteorologist, isn't it?
Yes.
So, had a question, and we get these questions a lot related to this question here. This one came from John, and John messaged me earlier this week. He was looking at his WCIA 3 weather app, and he said, how can it be 98% humidity and only 64 degrees? He thought, I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we deal with questions like this when we're talking about humidity, because there's different ways we can measure it. We can either measure it relative to the air, or we can measure it with absolute value. Sounds like some big fancy words there, but that's okay because...
Let me get out of that shot where my eyes are like popping out of my head like I have no idea what you're talking about.
Let's take a look at these two words, relative humidity and dew point. Have you heard both of those?
I have.
Yeah, so dew point is what we tend to use as meteorologists. This graphic right here actually shows us what happens to the relative humidity. So the relative humidity is just that. It's relative to the actual air temperature. So as the air temperature goes up, that red line, you'll see the relative humidity goes down. So we're more saturated when they meet. That saturation, you have the temperature high and the relative humidity high, or low and low. But really, they're an inverse relationship here. So oftentimes, our relative humidity gets up to 100%. It happens in the morning, and we get fog during that. And so that's something that we often deal with the afternoon. Relative humidity goes down. We don't worry about it here, but a lot of places that have drought and fire weather, they're looking at low relative humidity values for fire weather forecasting and things of that. Okay, let's show this graphic. This is our current relative humidity. When we look at it like this, 45% relative humidity in Champaign. That doesn't sound bad, right?
No.
Right.
Problem is, that's relative to this moment right now. The moisture levels are still the same in the air. And so we like to use dew points instead, because this doesn't change. A dew point of 59 is a dew point of 59 in the morning. At night, it's the same in December. It's the same in June. You'll have the same experience in a 59-degree dew point, but your relative humidity will change based on the air temperature. And another thing to look at here, we talk about our muggy meter a lot.
Yes.
So when it gets to 70 out there, it's miserable. It is muggy and humid, and so that certainly is why we like to use the dew point value more, because if the dew point's 70, it doesn't matter. It's going to be humid. There's a lot of water in the air. A lot of big words. I thought I'd show you what that looks like.
That's great. That'd be helpful.
So I've got some glasses here. I've got 3 different sized glasses. I got a big glass, a small glass, and then this little glass. Heather, I was looking for the shot glass, but it was dirty on your desk, so we had to use this one instead.
Lies. Lies.
So what we'll do is we'll use these glasses to represent the air temperature. The air temperature, when you warm up air, it expands. That's why, you know, hot air balloons, they go up.
Yes.
They're warmer. So this here is going to be my 85-degree glass. This is 65 degrees, and this is 45 degrees. But my relative humidity across the board, I just want it at 50%. We're going to hold that constant. Well, the amount of water that I have available, I spilled a little bit, that's okay. The amount of water that I have available at 85 degrees at 50% relative humidity, that's about halfway, compared to 65 degrees. Put that about halfway, and 45 degrees at about halfway. Which glass has more water?
Heather?
Grace.
Which one has the most water in it?
Probably the little one. I've seen those TikToks on the McDonald's cups.
We're not doing the McDonald's TikTok here. This is the one that has the most water. It's a bigger glass.
Oh, I thought it was a trick question.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
Okay.
A bigger glass.
Okay.
Half of the glass is full of water. This glass is bigger than this glass.
Right.
This glass, there's not a lot of water there. And so this is representative of the... It's okay. This is representative
I thought it was a trick question. Okay.
It's representative of the amount of water that's in the air. So there's a lot more water in this 85 degree.
Oh, for sure.
Compared to 50%, compared to 45 degree at 50%. Now, relative humidity, if I get it up to 100%,
all the way to the top.
it goes all the way to the top. If we have a fully saturated air mass, we've got full of water there. Oftentimes, this is when clouds form. Fog in the ground. We've got to have relative humidity up to 100%. Dew points have to hold steady compared to the air temperature, but we'll look at that relative humidity to rise up to that to help show that the air is saturated. Can I have more than 100% water?
Well, if you want to make a mess.
Yeah, well, there's still 100% of that glass is full. It's not 110%.
Oh,
so you'll let you clean that up.
Oh!
Thanks.
Okay, Heather, if you were to take a quiz right now on everything that we just learned, how would you do?
Grace, I heard the words coming out of his mouth, but I did not catch a single thing that he was talking about.
What we're looking at here is the main takeaway is the bigger glass, the warmer air can hold more water.
Do we have another question?
Oh, do we?
I think we have another question.
Oh, okay.
Another
What's
question?
our next question? This is from... what is-
Oh, Heather.
Oh!
What? Heather, why do you not Jacob's? I love Jacob's food, you guys.
This is off of a TikTok.
You guys,
Maybe
so
you saw
yes.
yesterday.
I love Jacob's cooking. I love Jacob Dickey. I love his
Who sent that in?
experiments.
Who sent that in?
Who is Joe King? I don't know.
Say it slower. Joe King. Joe King.
Ha 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 ha. You guys are funny.
Gosh, you are such a little turd bird, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Come back anytime.
This is fun.
It was
Some
fun.
more learning.
I know I'm still not a fan of
We can
humidity.
break it down.
Yeah. Humidity's,
More.
we don't want a lot of humidity. We want it to
Okay.
be as low as possible. We
That's
like
it
Oh my
that.
gosh, y'all are so
Lower
tricky.
dew points.
So tricky there with your second question thrown in there. All right, if you would like to ask a question for Jacob, real or fake, you can post it on his Facebook page, you can email him, or you can send him a tweet.